Hello guys, welcome back to Hey Manager, me Alex, and today we're going to go straight into the new signing for Tottenham. It's Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons, I'm very excited to see how he plays at Tottenham, and let's see how he is on Football Manager. So we've got the newest Passion for FM database where we do have the new transfer in for Xavi Simons, and as well as that, just to show you how actually up to date this is, if we go to the English Premier League, Newcastle, we've also got the new signing for Newcastle. Their new striker is Nick Waltermaid. So Waltermaid, he's going to be there. I think I'm going to do probably a simulation as well of Newcastle's season, just using him as well. Obviously, bringing him in later on. Going to be like, play 3 games, 4 games. Probably the first 3 games of the season, then letting him play on and seeing what Eddie Howe does with him and how the team works. I'll probably put Isaac as never playing for them again. That'd be interesting. But anyway, back into today's episode, we're going to be looking at Xavi Simons and how he performs at Tottenham and what Tottenham can do with this new signing. I really like the idea of signing Xavi Simons, getting him in the team. He's really young still, 22 years of age. It's incredible how much football he's actually played. Like, he's been at PSV, he's been at Leipzig, he's been at he came through La Masia, the Barcelona academy, then he was at PSG for a while, went to PSV, and then also I think he went to Leipzig after PSV, because Leipzig, very, very good side, like a very good side when they had, the likes of Werner in there, Simons was coming through. I just think they're really, really good, and Xavi Simons for me, I think is really going to be like that creative type of midfielder that you need. Maddison's so injury prone now. It's a shame about him. If we do a quick comparison with Maddison, as we can see here, I just think they're quite similar players. Xavi Simons a bit quicker. He's just a bit more on the ball. Probably a bit better dribbler, should I say. But overall, I think Maddison's better playmaking. But I think Xavi Simons getting forward, the energy he's going to bring in comparison to someone like a James Maddison, he's not as I wouldn't say he's quick, but he's not fast, if you know what I mean. Like, acceleration wise, probably good quickly on the ball, and he's got a good eye for like a pass and the final ball. As you can see there, his vision being 17. But I just think Xavi Simons adds this extra element where he can play out on the left, he can play through the middle, he can be a bit more creative. He's still very, very good at getting forward, at finishing. I think passing-wise he's good, technically brilliant, but physically he's just a bit better on the ball. As you can see there, like, pace is much higher, acceleration higher, stamina's higher. He's just going to be overall a better player, and his ceiling's much higher, I think, than a James Maddison. He's 22 years of age, you've got to remember that. He's been playing for Leipzig for the past 2 years at a very high standard. I think it's a very, very good buy. So the tactic looks a bit like this. I've been looking at how I've been watching quite a few Spurs games because they're an exciting team at the moment. You can see here with all the different signings that they've got. I think, to me, this is how they're going to be lining up, towards the start of the season and onwards to a degree. I've put in all the unavailabilities here, so I've gone through the different, injuries. I can't put injuries on. I don't know how to do that yet on the FM editor, but I will figure that out. But you can see here, unavailable to play until basically the end of next year, because obviously we haven't fast-forwarded the dates on this, but James Maddison will be basically not fit for the whole season with the injury he had. Solomon, again, out for another month, say. Kulusevski comes back around about November, they're saying, start of December. Udogie is only out until the end of the month. Dragusin as well, he's out until around about October. So I've got all these in, and Basuma as well, he's only out until the end of the month. But will he actually play? That's the big question. Will Thomas Frank decide to choose him? It's up to him. It is up to him. Because as ever, I will quickly show you, we do have Thomas Frank as the assistant manager, but all the responsibilities for everything important, for media, training, tactics, match day, and set pieces, all go to him. And then I, so to speak, control all the transfer negotiations, the scouting, and the staff responsibilities. So more so like a director of football. So anyway, we're tracking Simons this year. Let's see how he does. I'll join you back around December, and let's see how he fares. But Simons, going to be an interesting one to see how he actually plays in this side. I'll join you back in January. So will you join me now? Commentary Alex. A good goal in this one against Everton. Pretty much about 8 games in the season, but manages to finish it tidily. Then against Burnley, picks up a nice little goal there, arriving into the box late, as we predicted he would do. Then against Leeds, error leads to him pouncing on that one and puts it into the bottom left-hand corner pretty nicely. Against Brighton, a well-worked goal here. Doggy crosses it in, and at the near post, Xavi Simons is there to finish it off. We then played against Manchester City, and a big goal in this one to get the draw. A pretty nice followed-up rebound, and then against Brentford, tidy finish into the back of the net. And we're back. So we've got to January. As you can see, January 1st, we've played quite a few games. And as you can see here, Xavi Simons has improved a little bit. He's done very, very well. But let's have a look at the actual statistics, shall we? The actual stats that we want to see on the board. Now, in the Champions League, 4 appearances, 5 if you count the one off the bench, 1 assist overall. So expected goals of 0.86, so probably should have scored, but had a decent overall rating of 6.74. In the UEFA Super Cup, again not doing too great, 6.5 in that one. English Premier League, this is the main one. So he's managed to get 6 goals and only 1 assist. He's not been as creative as I thought he might have been, but you can see here his dribbling ability, dribbles made 28, it's quite high, and he has got a 7.01, so he's managed to, like, you know, he is the player that's getting fouled a lot, probably carrying the ball forward from that midfielder role. He's not had that many clear-cut chances because he has got the 3 players ahead of him, like a Brennan Johnson or a Kudus, or like I assume they're playing Solanke at the moment. Then in the Carabao Cup, 1 appearance in that one, a 6.7 rating, and in the European Championship qualifying, 4 goals for the Netherlands. So overall, he's doing all right. 27 games, 10 goals, 2 assists. Not like setting the world on fire, but at 22 years of age, I don't know what you'd really expect. He's doing pretty well, though. If you look at the rest of the squad in terms of how they're doing, so Solanke has taken back over. It's no longer Richarlison, although he's still played 19 games. Richarlison only got 3 goals, but Solanke's come back in. 11 goals for the good now, 3 assists. The next one in line is actually Xavi Simons. He's played the 25 games, 6 goals, 2 assists. Kudus has actually only played 15 games, 8 off the bench, 6 goals, 3 assists. I don't know if that's because he is on international duty. Let me just double check. No, they've not actually had the African Cup of Nations yet. So, again, I don't know what's happening with Kudus. I don't know whether or not they're playing, different types of players. As you can see here, Richarlison plays a fair bit. If we get appearances up, we'll probably be able to see better, won't we? So the back four look pretty spot on. Solanke's in there. Benson Kerr and Palhinha playing majority of the games as well. Porro on the right. On the left, you've probably got Jed Spence for the majority of the time. And then it seems to be quite a lot shuffled around here. So you've got Brennan Johnson playing a lot of games, Kudus playing a lot of games. You've then also got the likes of Solomon in there, 9 games he's actually played. Tell's had a decent 2 games in there. Odebear comes off the bench, but I think you're probably seeing Richarlison play maybe on the left. That might be the answer then. Let's just have a double check. If you look at the schedule, this is pretty much how they've been playing. So the opening game of the season, they got a 1-0 win against Bournemouth. They then lost to Chelsea 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. Cole Palmer picking up the goals in that one, but they did beat Manchester United. When they play Manchester United, they played Johnson on the left, Kudus on the right, Richarlison, and then they played Xavi and Palhinha and Benson Kerr in that formation. But let me just have another look here, actually. So we've got an interesting look to it. So where else would they have played like a strong side? Again, it's Bayer Leverkusen. Let's have a look at what side they put out there. So they put Solomon on the left, Johnson on the right. Jed Spence got a perfect 10 in this game. Got a really good game and 3 assists. Brilliant. Solanke up front. Yeah, it's pretty much the same as ever. Tactics-wise, we are playing Xavi a bit further up. I know I said last time he was playing as a, in front of these players, but when I did the simulation the first game, it just didn't pick the right players, so I was thinking, right, I need to change this up. I had Kudus on the right, Johnson on the left, Richarlison up front, and Benson Kerr. I wanted them to pick the correct players, as Thomas Frank has been playing this year. So I changed it up a bit, so I did change it a tiny bit, but nothing major. They're still playing the same roles, as you can see here. This is how I normally would have set them up from the beginning. I think that's pretty much where we're up to. Decent showing by Xavi Simons. It shows that he has improved the side anyway. They needed someone in that role. I think if you had like a Papa Sarr or someone else to play in that position, because that's who he's next. That's who he goes to next, if you can find Papa Sarr. He's just not got that technical ability. He's got the mentals and the physicals big time. He's a great midfielder, is Papa Sarr, but technically, you're looking at Xavi Simons really producing the goods for the team. We're going to have a look at Xavi Simons. I've done you a few clips. I'm going to go straight through now, all the way to May, when we're going to see how they've fared. Obviously, if it's the last game of the season and they're about to win the Cup, we'll play the game. Win the Premier League, we'll play the game. If they have a Champions League potential, a Champions League final, we'll play that, as well as the FA Cup. We'll also try and play that. So we'll see where they play. But I think Tottenham are expecting probably to maybe try and finish in the top 4 and also do very well in the Champions League and progress to a semi-final, quarter-final of a cup. I think that would be a good season for them, just to get them back to a more consistent Tottenham. I think that's what they're after this year, because finishing 16th, winning the Europa League, crashing out of the Carabao Cup, it's all over the place last year with Ange. You just want a bit more consistency, and that's what Thomas Frank will do for them. So I'll join you back in May. Let's see how Xavi Simons has done. So you join me back for the second half of the season commentary, Alex, and we've got a few goals here to report on. Aston Villa, a nice tidy finish into the top left-hand corner against them to win the game pretty much, and then against Burnley, he seems to like scoring against Burnley, finishes the black one on there, and then he picks up another goal actually, a really well worked goal, fires into the top right-hand corner, and then the final goal to report on in the Champions League against Barcelona, fires it into the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, so here we are, we've got to the final day of the season, and he's actually improved a fair bit as Xavi Simons. We can see he's actually got a little bit better, as we can see, like with the current ability roll is a 3, his potential ability is still quite high, but his first touch has got a little bit better, the vision's got a little bit better, I believe. I think his anticipation even has got a little bit better too. His balance has increased by 1 for sure. I think maybe his acceleration has gone up by a little bit, but either way, he's done fairly well. Let's have a look at the stats throughout the year then, shall we, as we now can see the full set of stats. So we had last time, halfway through the year, 27 games, pretty much around about there. I think it was 10 goals, 2 assists. Since then, only 4 goals, 2 assists. So a pretty poor second half of the season, but I think, as you can see here, he gives Tottenham something a little bit different. So they've played 10 Champions League games, which is, as you will see in a minute, is a bit good for them. You can see they've gone deep into the competition. 1 goal, 2 assists overall, which is decent enough. Fouls against 15, tackles 16. So you can see clear-cut chances he's creating. He's doing pretty well. He's done pretty well. The statistics are there as well in the Premier League. 9 goals, 2 assists. Could be a little bit better for him. Underperforming his XG in assists. But 59 fouls against. Again, 47 tackles, 8 clear-cut chances. He's doing pretty well for himself. So he's taking his opportunities. But in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, 2 not brilliant games. Let's just put it that way. He's not done great in those. European Championship qualifying has been the same as last time, but overall, 49 games, 14 goals, 4 assists for a first year at Tottenham. Faster football in the Premier League, Champions League as well. He's doing, he could be a little bit better, but I think that's this Tottenham side as well. Brennan Johnson and Kudus really like your men for the next few years. We don't know as well. There's a lot of injuries, so we didn't have the consistency. We didn't have the full-fledged team from the beginning. But we'll see how that changed. Overall, as you can see there, as I just flicked off, his progression, he was 3-star ability at the start. He is now a 3.5-star ability towards the end. He's done really well. At January, he sort of reached his peak form, and he's just sort of stagnated after that. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with Xavi Simons. If you have a look at the overall Spurs team then, as we have a look here, apps-wise, he actually played the most games, so it shows his availability. He is always free, which is good to hear, which is good to see. Vicario played 1 less game with him, which is incredible. But he did manage to play the most amount of games, which is really good. It shows he's consistent, shows he can play a lot of games throughout the year, and he's not really injury-prone like a Maddison would be. A lot more availability means he's going to be a lot more productive. Solanke came into the side, 25 goals for him this year, 5 assists. Richarlison in there next with 13 goals, 6 assists. And then Kudus in there with 11 goals, 5 assists before we get down to Xavi Simons. Now then, we see Kulusevski come into play. So Kulusevski did come back. I think he probably took that right wing role off of Kudus. That's my thought process there. I think Kulusevski, I don't know how you're going to actually play these players up front. I think your Brennan Johnson might go to the bench. I think you might see Kulusevski go to the left, or Xavi Simons go to the left. Kulusevski has to come to the side. He's so good. He's too good not to be in the side. Solanke plays up front. Xavi Simons in there. Kudus, does he sort of become like a bit more of a form player? If he's playing really well, does he play there? I don't know. And he just needs to figure out what actually he does on that right-hand side. I think Kudus plays on the right for sure. Then you're going to see, the other types of players, Manuel Solomon getting in there a bit, Benson Kerr getting in there a bit, Pedro Porro, yes, said it right there. 13 assists. He was bombing it forward down the right-hand side. He loves it. So as you can see here, goals-wise, we'll go through it. Xavi Simons is 5th out of everyone. Mikey Moore, in fact, we won't count. He's 4th. Mikey Moore is on loan at Rangers, so he's 4th out of everyone. And then in terms of actual assists, we see him all the way down here with 4 assists, which is quite low down, if you ask me. You probably want to see him be a bit more creative than that. It just shows that he could be a little bit better. Maybe he's more of the creative building the ball forwards. That's maybe the answer. As you can see here as well, a pretty average year. The 6.93, still very good, obviously, because Tottenham have had a good year, as we'll get on to in a minute, but still very average in terms of how the rest of the team have played. Yeah, overall not great, but decent enough for a first season. 47 games, 10 goals, 4 assists. It's like a goal, or it's like a contribution every, 3 games, 4 games between that. Not brilliant, but it'll do. So then schedule-wise, let's have a look how they did after January. So we saw them play against Chelsea. They did well against them. Then Bournemouth, they won again. United lost 2 in the FA Cup, so they saw them go out in the FA Cup there. They actually lost 2 as well. I don't think I mentioned it last time. They actually lost to Crystal Palace in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup, which is a poor game to lose. Then we saw them in the Premier League. They drew with United 1-1, which is a good result, I think. And then they went on a bit of a win streak. West Ham, Sunderland, Brighton, Everton, Villa, Burnley, they actually beat as well. We saw them progress against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. They managed to beat them 3-0 on aggregate, which is mental. They then drew with Wolves after that, because obviously they went all out probably for this Bayern Munich game. Bit tied against Leeds. Then they beat Wolves 6-0, a massive win there. Kulusevski getting a hat-trick, Dominic Solanke with the brace, and then they lost to Liverpool with Romero getting sent off early, which is going to be one of the downfalls. Barcelona, they managed to beat them in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They then lost to Liverpool 3-0, Richarlison getting sent off, Ekitike, and in fact Wataru Endo getting a brace. And then we did go back to Anfield, where Kudus got a goal, Tell got a goal, but they couldn't do anything with it. Tell missing a penalty coming into the side. Xavi Simons did start, 6.9 in that game, had a decent game overall, but not particularly brilliant. They did lose to Arsenal, lost to Liverpool, but everyone else they managed to beat in the league, which is brilliant because that leads us on to the competitions where we see where they actually finished up. So in the English Premier League, they managed to finish second, 26 wins, 7 draws, 5 points behind Liverpool, which is a very respectable points tally, to be fair. Then we see below that, we see City 7 points behind them, Chelsea 8 points behind them, Villa in there with their Europa League spot, United, Newcastle, Arsenal finishing outside the top 7. I think they got a new manager in because it wasn't going well for them whatsoever. We see, as well as that, the relegation sides, and I like to see this every time. We see Burnley go down, Wolves go down, and Everton actually got relegated, which is interesting. Champions League, they got knocked out by Liverpool in the semi-final. We see Dominic Solanke with 8 goals, Jed Spence and Kulusevski with the 5 assists. Super Cup, and they managed to get a win in that one. FA Cup, they were knocked out in the 3rd round by United, and in the Carabao Cup, they were knocked out in the 3rd round by Crystal Palace. So, not brilliant, not fantastic, but we see Xavi Simons improving Tottenham overall. I think other than that, they've brought in Paulinho, who's a brilliant addition, I think, as well. I think if you look at anyone else, they've not really brought in that many players, but you see the likes of Tell coming in, who's going to be fantastic for them. I think, you know, if Kudus can really hit the ground running, he's going to be fantastic for them as well. Udogie coming back from his injury, which would be brilliant for them because they're going to have Jed Spence and Udogie. They've got a lot of depth in this Tottenham team, which is really, really good. So overall, I think the experiment went pretty well. You saw Xavi Simons, he's played really well, he's doing great. I think he's one for the future, he's going to be there for 10 years plus if they can keep the form up. I think Thomas Frank is a brilliant manager, I think he'll do well for them, but overall, yeah, Xavi Simons, he's a decent player, and let's see how he fares in real life. So there we have it. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for 304 sub managers, I really appreciate it. Hopefully as well you've seen an improvement in the webcam quality, because I've now got a HD, a 1080p HD webcam, which is great news. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy the video, as I say, keep subscribing, keep liking it, leave a comment down below who you want to see next. I'm probably going to do Newcastle without the Isaac sort of thing in play. You're going to see him, you know, that new signing up front from Germany, and yeah, let's see where we go from there. So thank you guys for watching as ever. Catch you in the next one. From me, Alex, have a great day. Ciao.